Welcome back to Corridors of Time. Today we're going to command the battlefield with the snap of a finger, scorching our targets, weakening them, and forcing them to cower in suppression from the dominance within the command of our Solar Warlock kit. Now, let's go and make the Iron Lords proud and erupt onto the battlefield in what we call the Warlord build. We're also very close to 3,000 subs on the channel, so if you do enjoy this content, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. So to begin this build, we're going to begin by looking at the basic description for the in-game text on Felwinter's Helm. Felwinter's Helm, the exotic helmet, states that powered melee final blows create a burst of energy that weakens nearby targets. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increase the radius of the burst and the length of the weakening effect. So the in-game description on Felwinter's Helm is a little bit lacking, so what we're going to do here is look at this slide that I have available. The way that we want to look at this is depending upon the enemy rank, whether it's a minor, elite, mini-boss, or a boss, it's going to affect the radius and the duration of the disorient and the weaken effect. So a finisher could provide on a minor enemy a 10-second disorient effect in 10 meters for 5 seconds. So look at this slide, reference this if you need to try to remember how it applies to each enemy that you may finish or defeat with a powered melee kill. Next up, our first aspect of the build, Touch of Flame. Touch of Flame does provide 2 fragment slots, and Touch of Flame provides enhanced grenade functionality for this build. Your healing grenade will have a stronger cure effect as well as stronger restoration effect. Solar grenades will have increased linger duration as well as emit blobs of lava periodically. Now we do prefer to use the healing grenade in this build as it allows us to have some safety when we're going for finishers. Next up though, aspect number 2, Heat Rises. Now Heat Rises is the choice here because with Heat Rises, we're actually going to be able to fire our weapons in the air, melee in the air, and also throw grenades while gliding. So that's very important because there are some fundamentals behind how Heat Rises can help this build. When we consume our healing grenade, we're going to be granted restoration ×1 for 4 seconds. Then we have the Heat Rises buff, which can be extended up to 30 seconds by getting in-air kills. And all of those in-air kills will provide us melee energy. Fragment number 1, Ember of Torches. Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant, which will increase your weapon damage by 25% and also allow you to pierce barrier champion shields. So the thing about this build is that we're combining Radiant, which is a 25% weapon damage bonus, with Felwinter's 30% weaken debuff on the battlefield just by snapping our fingers. Any of those melee kills can also grant Markov Chain ×5 for a 65% buff to Monte Carlo. Snap, buff, debuff, repeat. Ember of Solace. Now, Ember of Solace is going to provide us Radiant and Restoration effects at a 50% longer duration. So this is going to enable us to have higher uptime on Radiant in this build. Putting Radiant at a 12-second duration, and when we're pairing this with Monte Carlo, we're going to be able to almost always keep Radiant active in this build. And because we run the healing grenade, it's also going to have some unique interactions with Ember of Solace. Let's take a look at that here. We're going to be able to see the duration of how Solace and Touch of Flame interact. Solace is buffing the duration of restoration, and Touch of Flame provides enhanced functionality to our healing grenade. So we're going to get some extra benefits here on this build by having these two in conjunction. Now, fire sprites don't actually receive any bonus benefit. I've tested this, and they stay at 3 seconds of restoration ×1. Next up, Ember of Searing. Now, Ember of Searing is going to provide us even more melee energy in this build. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and also creates a fire sprite. Now, a fire sprite does grant 12.5% grenade ability on energy pickup. And these scorched targets, you can see a chart up there in the top right corner, corresponding to how much melee energy you receive based on the tier of the enemy that you defeat. Incinerator Snap does scorch enemies, so you're always going to be able to reap the benefits from Ember of Searing. Now, Monte Carlo has this synergy with Searing and Radiant. Hits are going to grant 2% melee energy, kills grant Markov Chain, and have a 25% chance to just fully refund our Incinerator Snap. Now, if we do get a kill with that Incinerator Snap, we're going to get the maximum benefit of 65% weapon damage bonus that you'll see in the bottom right there. And then our fourth and final fragment of the build, Ember of Mercy. Now, Ember of Mercy states that when you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. Also, picking up a fire sprite will grant us restoration, and because we have Ember of Searing, which creates those fire sprites, which provide us grenade energy for our healing grenade, we'll be able to gain some extra restoration and grenade energy at the same time. Now, if you don't want to opt for this fragment, you can do something like Ember of Benevolence, because that was recently buffed this season and that could provide some extra ability energy in your build. But I do like this fragment because sometimes reviving an ally can provide you and that ally that boost of HP that keeps you alive. For our helmet, we're going to be needing 1 copy of Kinetic Siphon so Monte Carlo can generate orbs of power to provide armor charges. Dynamo is going to allow our Rift to create super energy for us, and any melee kills that we have, hands-on is going to provide us some additional super energy as well. Now on our arms, we want to run 1 copy of melee kickstart so we can always have our snap back to get radiant, and then when we hit an enemy with that snap, it's going to provide us 20% to our healing grenade. Then any powered melee kills will also generate an orb of power for another armor charge. Now for the chest, I like to either choose to double up on the resistances for whatever threats are incoming, say it's arc or whatnot, and then you can run concussive or sniper if there's a specific boss or encounter that needs that specific damage reduction. For our legs, recuperation, orbs of restoration, absolution combined together will give you 70 HP, 10% to your lowest ability, and 5% to every ability, just every time you pick up an orb, which is just absolutely great. But on our bond, we're going to need proximity ward, so we can gain a powerful overshield that makes us almost invincible when we're performing a finisher, so we can activate Felwinter's debuff. Then on a rift cast, anytime you do a rift near an enemy, you will get 14% of your melee, 4% of your grenade, and 4% of your class ability. Now that's going to wrap up the build here. Now go enjoy being an Iron Lord, snap your fingers, become radiant, and debuff the enemies and show them your dominance. Thank you guys for watching.